This conference will now be recorded.
With the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing are in the Municipal Services Office out of Sudbury. So we cover all of the Northeast. With me tonight, I have Paul Prosperi, who is, you all know him as your municipal advisor. He has recently taken on a secondment as our senior municipal finance advisor in Sudbury. He's staying on for a little bit until we can hire some more staff. I also have Steve May, who's our senior housing planning advisor in our office, and he works in the housing side of our local government and housing unit. And then we have Kara Holtby, who's a planner in our Sudbury office, and she'll be delivering the planning slides tonight. And we're also expecting, hopefully she's going to make it, Leanna Bacon, who is, her home position is senior municipal finance advisor. However, she has taken on a secondment and has moved into the housing team lead role for the next 6 months. We're also supposed to have Cindy Couillard, who is, many of you may know her. Cindy is the housing team lead in our office. She is taking on a temporary assignment in our London office. So, but Cindy's depth of knowledge on housing will come in, excuse me, handy for us tonight if you have any questions. So we will be tag teaming. Is someone going to be, Gail, are you going to be showing the video or the presentation and moving the slides, or are we doing that?
Just give her 1 second there. You're still on mute.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great.
Gail, are you talking to us? You're on mute. Oh, she's having technical difficulties, she's saying.
Cheryl, I can give the screen over if somebody wants to tell me who's going to present.
Okay, sorry. Let's get this figured out. Thank you, Melissa, for that. We're having technical difficulties all around tonight. Kathy, who can be your presenter for you, and we'll hook you up there through Melissa.
I can do that.
Paul, do you want to do that? Thanks, Paul.
Yes.
Okay,
certainly.
Great. Thank you, Paul. So Melissa, you can hand it over to Paul. I think we're all getting a test of our patience through this virtual meetings and learning, right? Learning all these new methods. And hopefully they don't just go in a drawer when this pandemic's done.
No, I'm sure we'll be using them for a while.
Well, I hope we take the best of them.
Yeah.
Can I just do a quick audio check and confirm everybody can hear me? Kara Holtby here.
I can hear you, Kara. I think everyone else is. We're getting nods all around. Yep.
Is everyone able to see the screen?
It is being shared, yes.
Perfect.
Okay, I leave the floor to you all.
Okay, well, again, good evening, and thank you for inviting us to speak with you today about the various tools from planning and finance that a municipality can use to incent and encourage affordable housing. So we've gone through the introductions. I still don't see Leanna on or Cindy, so hopefully they come on by the time we get to Leanna's parts. So I'm really happy to have all of these knowledgeable staff here with me today, and we will, tag team throughout the presentation to provide you with a lot of good information. Hopefully it's good information for you as you consider moving along on your housing, looking at your housing needs. So if you can move on to slide 2. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong slide. I have the deck up on another screen. Too many screens. So for those of you who have participated or attended Ministry of Municipal Affairs presentations, this is our standard notice to advise you that you know, the presentation, the information that we're going to provide to you is intended to be, you know, information to help guide you. We're going to provide some examples and some links to various documents. Again, they're intended to help guide you. We aren't lawyers. We're going to share with you information about what's on the screen, or about what's in the legislation. But really, we would encourage you to, you know, seek professional advice through lawyers or accountants, or you know, even developers throughout, you know, as you go through the process. So again, just a reminder that the information is intended to help and not by any means be any sort of legal advice. Next slide, please. So for this this slide just provides you with an overview, with an indication of what we're going to cover today. So our team will talk about the various tools within the Planning Act and the Municipal Act. They'll provide some practical examples right here from a couple from Northern Ontario. And we'll offer some considerations at the end of the tools discussion that may be of benefit to the municipality to help you create affordable housing opportunities and hopefully make it easier to attract the type of housing that you need and want in your community. So if you want to move on to the next slide, we can, might as well go to slide 5. We love our little placeholder slides. So before I get going, I will start by showing you this toolbox. So the toolbox is intended to be symbolic of the types of tools, toolboxes that we all have. So we all have different tools that we use on a daily basis that are at our disposal. So, and then these tools can be for, you know, our very specific tasks, and without them, we wouldn't be able to do our job or even be able to be effective at trying to complete a task. So just think of what we're going to provide you tonight with as examples of tools that you can put into your toolbox. So during the remainder of the presentation, the team will walk you through the various tools that we hope you will, we hope that we'll be able to allow you to lay the groundwork for affordable housing. And we know that having the right tools in place now will help you leverage and enhance opportunities for the future. Next slide, please. This slide just provides you with a quick snapshot of the different types of tools or policies that you can implement in order to, you know, or to add to your toolbox. So I'm not going to go into these, just a quick snapshot for you. And so Kara will cover the Planning Act. Leanna, hopefully when she gets on, she will, we'll figure that out after Kara's done. Leanna will cover the Municipal Act tools as well as the development charges. So I'm going to now turn it over to Kara.
Thanks, Kathy. So as Kathy mentioned, my name is Kara Holtby. I'm a planner with the ministry, and I cover all of Algoma and Parry Sound districts. And today I'll be speaking with you regarding some tools that are available to you under the Planning Act. So if we can move to slide 8, Paul, please. Perfect. So the Planning Act and the Provincial Policy Statement set out the rules for land use planning and development in Ontario. So the Act provides many tools to help achieve a full range of housing, including affordable housing, and it identifies the provision of a full range of housing, including affordable housing as a provincial interest. The PPS provides more specific policy direction, and these documents require municipalities to address local housing needs. Next slide, please. So additional residential units are also sometimes referred to as accessory or basement apartments, second units, or in-law suites. They're described as self-contained residential units with kitchen and bathroom facilities. And approval authorities must now permit an additional residential unit within a detached house, semi-detached house, or row house, and a structure accessory to a dwelling. Municipalities must have permissive policies in their official plan and implementing zoning bylaw to permit additional residential units as of right. However, they must also comply with any applicable laws and standards, including the building code, the fire code, and property standards bylaws. Also, Ontario Regulation 29919 provides further direction for municipalities related to, among other things, parking standards and the fact that the residential units need not be the owners of the lot. Next slide, please. So some benefits. They can increase the stock of affordable rental units, helping to create mixed income communities. They can create jobs in the construction and renovation industry and support local businesses and the local labor market. They can maximize use of existing housing stock and land, optimize infrastructure, and support transit and active transportation. They allow homeowners an opportunity to earn additional income to help meet the cost of homeownership and support changing demographics by providing more affordable housing options for extended family, elderly parents, or for live-in caregivers. Next slide, please. So as the planner for Algoma District, I'm aware that your current official plan is under review, and we in fact received a draft just recently, I think maybe a week or two ago. But having said that, the municipality can always circle back to your planning consultant to take advantage of some of the planning tools I'm speaking about today in terms of adding some additional policies if something sparks your interest or you feel like there might be something missing or a section that you can beef up on based on what you hear today. But generally speaking, official plans should include provisions for a long range and mix of housing types and densities, measures and procedures for attaining housing objectives, and targets for the provision of housing to low and moderate income households. Next slide, please. So a zoning bylaw implements the policies of the official plan and set out permitted uses and development standards for specified zones, among other things. Municipalities can specify minimum as well as maximum height and density in their zoning bylaws. So this could guide development towards more compact, intensified built form outcomes and create opportunities for more affordable housing. Next slide, please. So a garden suite means a one-unit detached residential structure containing bathroom and kitchen facilities that is ancillary to an existing residential structure and that is designed to be portable. Municipalities can pass laws authorizing garden suites as a temporary use for up to 20 years. Municipalities can then also extend the temporary authorization for garden suites by further 3-year increments as needed. Next slide, please. So within a community improvement plan area, municipalities can undertake a variety of community improvement activities, including affordable housing, and provide financial incentives for development and redevelopment within built-up areas of the community. Municipal official plans must contain policies related to community improvement, and municipalities must have enacted a bylaw designating a CIP project area in order to take advantage of this tool. Next slide, please. And municipalities have the option to reduce or waive planning application processing fees. A reduction or waiver of fees for applications required for an affordable housing project would reduce the costs associated with that development. Next slide, please. And municipalities can also enter into agreements with developers to allow for the reduction or waiving of parking requirements. Next slide. A municipality can require the conveyance of land or cash in lieu for park purposes as a condition of approval of a plan of subdivision or development or redevelopment. And municipalities can tailor their parkland and cash in lieu requirements to facilitate the development of affordable housing. Next slide, please. The Planning Act requires decision makers to have regard to the effect of a proposed subdivision or consent on matters of provincial interest. Matters of provincial interest are listed in Section 2 of the Act, including the adequate provision of a full range of housing. Next slide, please. Municipalities can establish demolition control areas, protecting ownership and rental properties, as well as properties with less than 6 units. Within demolition control areas, municipalities can refuse to issue a demolition permit unless a building permit has been issued to erect a new building on the site. Next slide, please. So some additional Planning Act tools we have here. We have what's called the Development Permit System, or formerly Community Planning Permit System. It can combine aspects of zoning, minor variance, and site plan control, and it can encourage affordable housing by promoting a range of housing types and densities, promoting appropriate residential intensification, compact form, building and site design, by eliminating third-party appeals to the local planning tribunal, which has actually been renamed to the Ontario Land Tribunal, I believe. Moving on to community benefits charges. They apply to fund municipal infrastructure for community services such as affordable housing that are needed to support new residents and businesses associated with new development. They can only be charged on developments greater than 5 stories and 10 units or more. Developments such as long-term care homes, retirement homes, and post-secondary institutions are excluded from community benefits charges. They can only fund new community services or portions thereof, not otherwise covered by development charges. Inclusionary zoning can be used around major transit station areas and where the minister has ordered a municipality to implement a development permit system for the purposes of using inclusionary zoning. This normally applies to higher density forms of development. Municipalities can require a certain amount of affordable housing be included in development proposals in the areas specified for the purposes of inclusionary zoning. And that brings my piece of the presentation to an end. Kathy, are we going to wait until the end for questions or section by section? Did everybody catch that? That brought me to the end of my presentation. Are we doing questions at the end or after every section? Kathy, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, we did hear you, Kara. I was just going to tell Kathy she was on mute there. There, you're not muted now, Kathy. Oh. I'm not hearing Kathy at all. Is anyone else hearing Kathy?
Sorry, my mic wouldn't turn off.
No, I can't hear you, Kathy. Are you hearing us though?
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Oh, there.
I know my mic. It's pretty finicky. It keeps.
Yeah, you keep cutting in and out, Kathy. Would you like to do questions by section?
It's going on and off. Yeah. Thanks, Kara. So,
Okay, I'm going to open the floor up to council. I can hear you, Kathy. We'll just open up the floor to council for questions for the section that Kara presented. Is that all right? She's still having difficulties. Kara, you can still hear us though, fine?
Yep, I can hear you fine.
Okay, council, if you have any questions, you can unmute your mic and I don't see any questions from council at this time. I see 2 shaking their head. Okay. Okay, you're good to continue. That was easy, Kara. Thank you for your part.
Thanks very much.
Okay, go ahead, Kathy.
Sounds like Kathy is having difficulty with her microphone. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, Paul. Yes, perfectly.
Okay, so why don't I take a crack then at this next section? I can't see the participants who are in the meeting because I'm sharing my screen, so I can't see if Leanna is on the call, although I don't think that she is. Is that correct?
No, I don't see Leanna on the call. I do see an MEJH. I'm not sure who that is, but
Yeah, she just popped on. Leanna's there.
oh, there's
The
Leanna.
Are you there, Leanna?
Yeah, apparently timing in life is everything, because
Perfect.
I literally just popped up when I saw Municipal Act tools pop up on the screen.
All right.
I apologize. I was having some difficulties getting on with my bandwidth, but just sorry for clarification. Is someone going to be skipping the slides for me, or do I have control somehow of that?
I'll do that. I'll do that for you, Leanna. You just tell me when to move ahead.
Thank you. That's great. Thanks. So we can skip to the next slide then. Thanks, Paul.
Mhm.
And apologies again for my delay. So under Section 107 of the Municipal Act, municipalities are able to provide grants to any person, group, or body within or outside the boundaries of the municipality for any purpose that council considers to be in the interest of the municipality. However, it's important to note that Section 106, which many of you will be familiar with, of the Municipal Act, actually prohibits municipalities from bonusing. And essentially that means that municipalities are not allowed to directly or indirectly provide financial assistance to any manufacturing business or other industrial or commercial enterprise. So for the purposes of this presentation, a commercial enterprise may include an apartment complex, and it's up to the municipality to determine what's that description. But keeping this in mind, there are still a variety of options that are available for municipalities to use in order to provide incentives for affordable housing. And the remainder of my part of this presentation will speak to the Municipal Act tools that the municipality may wish to consider discussing further. We can go to the next slide, please. So the next slide speaks to municipal capital facilities agreements. These are agreements that can be used by municipalities to create relationships with other parties to deliver municipal facilities. An example of this could involve an agreement between a municipality and a not-for-profit, where the municipality provides financial assistance for affordable housing facilities. Under these agreements, assistance provided from a municipality could include giving or lending money, giving, leasing or lending property, guaranteeing borrowing, providing services of municipalities, of employees of the municipality, or providing tax exemptions or reductions. So when we hear the word facility, we often think of like a building or something like that. But under the Municipal Capital Facilities Regulation, which is referenced on this slide, 60306, those facilities can be defined as any of the things that we just mentioned and that appear on the screen. Next slide, please, Paul. Before a municipality can enter into a municipal capital facilities agreement, it must first enact a municipal housing facility bylaw. And the bylaw would include a definition of affordable housing. It would include policies regarding public eligibility for housing units to be provided as part of the municipal capital facilities, and a summary of the provisions that an agreement respecting municipal housing project facilities is required to contain. You can go to the next slide, please. So generally, the multi-residential class includes rental apartment properties with 7 or more units. The residential class includes condos and single residential dwellings. The municipal tax rate for multi-res or multi-residential class is often higher than the rate for residential class. And municipalities have used the option to tax new multi-residential properties at a rate that is similar to other residential properties by either reducing the tax ratio on existing class of multi-res properties to a rate that is closer to the residential property class, or establishing a new multi-residential property class with a tax ratio close to the residential class. So municipalities might do this to incent people to build multi-residential properties. But under the Ontario Fair Housing Plan, that new lower rate was made mandatory. So all new multi-res buildings with a building permit date of April 20th, 2017 or beyond will now be required to tax at a rate similar to other residential properties. The range of fairness, if you know stuff about tax collection and ranges of fairness and tax ratios, is 1 to 1.1. In most cases, once land is in this new class, it stays classified as new multi-residential for 35 years. This change does not reduce existing municipal property tax revenue because it only applies to newly constructed multi-residential buildings. It's important to note that if a housing project receives program funding and the ratio is set higher than 1.0, which is the residential rate, then a municipal capital facilities agreement must be utilized in order to reduce the tax ratio for the housing project to ensure that it complies with the funding. Next slide, Paul, thanks. So as you would have heard in the planning portion, which I missed, municipalities may enact bylaws to prohibit and regulate the demolition of residential rental properties that contain 6 or more units, or the conversion of such properties to a purpose other than residential rental. So as well as it's on the planning side of things, Section 99.1 sub 1 of the Municipal Act also has that provision to allow municipalities to enact those bylaws. This tool can assist with the preservation of existing affordable housing stock in the community, since units can sometimes be lost through demolition or conversion to condo units. And next slide, please, Paul. Another tool that municipalities can use is to establish a municipal services corporation, and that can provide a product or service that the municipality itself could provide with a few restrictions. Benefits of the corporations include the ability for municipalities to work with partners in the public, private, or nonprofit sectors. It has the potential to provide municipal services and develop facilities more efficiently. And corporations could potentially create increased capital or pooling of expenses. You've got the expertise of staff and those resources, and sometimes better economies of scale as well. A municipality may designate a municipal services corporation providing economic development services as a designated economic development corporation. And economic or DEC services may include the provision of residential housing, public transportation systems, parking facilities, and other activities. And with the economic development corporations, municipalities have the authority to use a levy for economic development services. The municipality would then collect these special levies and could transfer the funds to the Municipal Services Corporation. And Paul, you can probably skip through 2 slides. We'll go right to the Development Charges Act tools. Thank you. Municipalities may exempt affordable housing from being subject to development charges, and we know that in the Northeast we only have 3 municipalities that actually utilize development charges, so that's Sudbury, North Bay, and Callander. But just briefly, we'll just mention that affordable housing units would have to be exempted if you were using this exemption municipal-wide or within a defined area. So you couldn't exempt a particular developer or development, but you could exempt an area, or you could have it municipal-wide if you wish to do so. And I think I'm turning it now over to Steve to speak to some practical examples.
Steve, your mic is showing as on, but we can't hear you. I'm wondering if maybe you need to change your audio setting. I know when I signed in, it put me to a setting that I'm not sure was compatible with my computer. So I picked the other one, which is why I did a sound check right in the beginning. So try to go under your audio settings and change the default to the other one that's available.
All right, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Steve. Thank you.
Either are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can all hear you, I believe. I see everyone nodding their head. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you for that information, Kara. That's exactly what the problem was. I apologize to council for the technical issue. Hi, I'm Steve May. I'm the Senior Housing and Planning Advisor with the Ministry in Sudbury. Right now, I'm going to take you through some practical examples of some of the tools working by themselves or working together to help create situations that would lead to incentives for affordable housing in your community. Next slide, Paul. So the first one I'd like to talk about, this one is a little old now, but still fairly relevant. Lots of things happened in the township of Seguin. That is a municipality located in the district of Parry Sound, and it has policies in its official plan that encourage the use of surplus lands within settlement areas for the purpose of affordable housing. The township adopted a municipal housing facilities bylaw, which identified the use of a number of financial tools that also help facilitate affordable housing. And this led to the development of a 10-unit affordable housing project targeted to seniors in the form of 2 5-unit complexes. Along with provisions to waive Planning Act application fees, building permit fees, and the reduction of the tax rate to the project so that it was at or below single-family residence in the township over a 20-year affordability period, the bylaw also indicated that the township would transfer surplus municipal lands to the developer at no cost. And as a result of this, the Parry Sound District Social Services Administration Board was able to allocate $1.2 million in combined federal and provincial funding for the Seguin Place project. Next slide, please, Paul. In the township of Johnson, they have an official plan that includes provisions which encourage the municipality to work with sector stakeholders to provide affordable housing. In order to facilitate the development of Possibility Community Homes, which is a fully accessible 4-unit, 2-bedroom housing complex in the Deborah community, the township of Johnson waived Planning Act application fees. And through the Investment in Affordable Housing Initiative, the Algoma District Services Administration Board allocated $200,000 in federal provincial funding to make Possibility Community Homes a reality. Next slide, please, Paul. The city of Kenora adopted a community improvement plan for the Kenora and Keewatin settlement areas. And this community improvement plan includes a component that will provide financial incentives for the creation of affordable housing. And these incentives could include a grant for background studies that support new multi-unit seniors housing construction and the conversion of existing buildings, which include accessibility features. Could also include an affordable housing tax increment-based grant to stimulate the renovation, rehabilitation, or redevelopment of existing buildings and underutilized sites to better create affordable housing, or an accessibility grant to promote accessibility in existing buildings, including multi-unit residential. And that's a community improvement plan adopted under the Planning Act. Next slide, please, Paul. So this next example is actually from the city of Sault Ste. Marie and also pertains to a community improvement plan, but with a slightly different take. In the city of Sault Ste. Marie, they identified a deficit of affordable rental housing in their community. So as a result, the city developed the Rental Housing Community Improvement Plan. This plan creates a framework for the city's administration of a rental housing tax increment equivalent grant program. So through the CIP and the grant program, the city is able to use property tax assistance, including grants, as an incentive to encourage new investment in rental housing, with the goal of further diversifying the range and type of rental accommodations available in the city and to increase the municipality's residential tax base. The plan encourages the construction of additional barrier-free accommodation in the city, along with the development of facilities that support assisted living environments. Expected outcomes include the addition of affordable rental stock to the community, along with more and varied assisted living opportunities. Next slide, please, Paul. So back to official plans for a moment. In the municipality of Smith Falls, they've developed targets to help incent the development of affordable housing in their community. They've developed official plan policies which include a target of 30% for new housing in the community to be affordable for home ownership and market rental units both. The town's official plan also includes policies which call on the municipality to fast track Planning Act applications for affordable housing development. So every little thing that you can do can assist with making it just a little easier to incent affordable housing in your community. All right, next slide, please, Paul. I think this is my last one as well. So in Northern Ontario, integrating planning between housing service managers like the Algoma District Services Administration Board and municipalities such as yours can create some challenging situations at times due to the relationship between DSABs and municipalities. We know in Southern Ontario, housing service managers are often part of a regional or county municipal structure, but in the north, DSABs, like the ADSAB, are separate entities from municipalities and have many municipalities within their service area. So making explicit connections in official plan policies between DSABs and municipal planning approvals related to affordable housing can have positive impacts and build relationships. At the very least, they can certainly keep the lines of communication open. So the town of Kirkland Lakes official plan includes policy which encourages the town to consider the needs of moderate and lower income households in keeping with their DSAB, which is the Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board, in keeping with their 10-year housing and homelessness plan. The plan also includes policy regarding the notification of the DSAB when large residential developments are being considered, and asks for the DSAB's input on achieving housing targets in the official plan. So by building these policies into municipal official plans that reference DSABs and their local housing and homelessness plans, there's a greater opportunity for DSABs and municipalities to come together at critical times, such as when development is being proposed or when comprehensive reviews of housing policies are occurring. So I think that's all I have in the way of examples. I'm not sure whether I'm turning this now over to Kathy or to Cindy. I think Kathy may have been having some technical difficulties. So whoever is up next, I'd like to hand it off.
Thanks, Steve. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Kathy.
Oh, okay. I think things are fixed. My apologies for earlier. My computer was completely frozen. I couldn't move my mouse, couldn't move anything. Anyway, so it seems to have been fixed for now. So if you can move on to the next slide, please. So in this and the next slide, we will offer you some considerations or questions that you may want to ask yourselves as a municipal council or group. So some things you might want to look at are, what are your housing needs in general? Are there any is there a target population that you're looking at creating housing options for? So for example, are you looking at families? Are you looking at seniors? Is it for low income individuals? So you'd want to ask yourself too, with respect to sustainability, what is your housing supply made of right now? Are there any gaps? Do you have a housing stock owned by seniors with no other housing options available to them within the community? So for example, would they have to leave the community to be closer to their families or to access other support services? So again, some questions that you can ask yourself. You'd want to take inventory. So has the municipality adopted any of the tools that we've talked about tonight? What would be needed to access these tools? You may want to begin discussions with your council and staff, and you might want to have some conversations with the ADSAB. So engage, and that's a good segue into engaging the ADSAB. So as you know, the ADSAB is the service manager agency for Hornepayne and has a responsibility to provide housing and homelessness programs funding that is funded by the province. So the ADSAB administers many different programs to low and moderate income individuals and families within your community, as well as to those at risk of homelessness or that are homeless. So you probably are aware that the DSAB does have a 10-year housing and homelessness plan that identifies housing needs beyond what you may anticipate you need. So again, another good reason to have conversations with the ADSAB. If you haven't started those discussions yet, we'd be more than happy to help facilitate a meeting with between you and the ADSAB staff and board. So again, just something else that we could also help you with. I'm sure that the DSAB staff will be more than willing to discuss any opportunities or collaborate with you on your initiatives. So seek advice. You know you're not alone. You know, we're here talking to you tonight. There are many other professionals. You have your municipal staff. There are other professionals and other municipalities too that may be going through something similar or have gone through something similar that where they may be able to offer you some guidance or assistance on their experiences. And we do know of a few municipalities who have undergone or undertook development of housing in their community that we could put you in touch with. There are also additional resources at the end of the presentation, and I believe we provided you with a PDF link so that we can provide you with the slide where you can actually just click on it, because I don't think you can do that in a PDF format. If you can, great. If not, Gail or another staff can reach out to Paul, and he'd be more than happy to send you those links in a proper document. So some of those guides that I'm referring to are tiny homes, co-ownership and life leases. So those are guides produced by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing that we think might be very helpful to you. And again, last question is, you know, how can we help? So staff in the ministry, in our office, we're here tonight. We're here. You know, this doesn't end our assistance. We'd be more than happy to, you know, provide you with whatever information we can going forward. And our contacts are at the end of the presentation. Next slide, please. So not really going to get into this slide very much. Again, just to say that, you know, we do have the tools, and we would be more than happy to work with you as you know, go through this exercise, and happy to provide any, you know, assistance that we're able to, or put you in touch with the right people. So I believe if you just want to move to the next slide, I think that's just our contacts, and then questions, and then contacts, and then the last slide is, I believe, the slide that has the list of resources that we'd be more than happy to provide to you. So we can open it up to questions, and whoever is best to answer the question will answer your question.
Did I just mute myself, or was I on mute the whole time?
Mute.
Oh, great. Thank you, Kathy, and your team for the great presentation. And I apologize for all the technical difficulties around the table tonight. Isn't this wonderful? So I do open the floor up for questions now, and I see Councillor Stefanik has a question. Go ahead, Drago.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to the presenters. Thank you for being here. Great presentation. I'd like to refer back to page 22, please, on the section 107, general power to make grants. I'd like to have further clarifications on that, a simple clarification. Also, I understand you have the power for affordable housing. I get that. What are the other examples that we as council could have the power, because it's very tricky, the fact of bonusing versus not bonusing. So could I have a little more clarification, please? And thank you.
I'll leave that to you, Kathy, to decide who's best from your team to answer.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we lost Leanna. I think we lost Leanna, so I can take a first stab at it. So I'm just going to find that slide. So it was slide 22, you said, right? Yeah, so generally, the Municipal Act provides that in Section 107 that, a municipality does have the general power to make grants and loans to ratepayers within the community. So that would be, like an individual within the community and to certain groups. But with Section 106, that's where we get into the bonusing rule for commercial or industrial enterprises. So affordable housing, even though it's affordable and it may be for low-income individuals, and you're thinking it's housing, so it's residential, that's not really a commercial, it's not really a commercial property, right? However, when you look at housing and when you're looking at multi-residential properties, that may be deemed to be a commercial enterprise because you have an individual who is, trying to make a profit on this building that they are building. So that's kind of where the bonusing rule comes in, which then would require if a municipality was to want to offer any sort of incentives to that type of facility, then there are tools that you would have to put in place in order to be able to do that. So that would be the housing facilities bylaw, and then the agreement to implement for that specific property to implement the incentives. Not sure if I answered your question.
If I go through, Mayor, just my supplementary question. I thank you for that. Now, can you give me a specific example then? You gave me one that's possibility. What would be specific example where this Section 107 would apply to municipal council and we could assist somebody, please? Thank you.
Okay, so in a situation, so take a municipality can often provide, say, grants to local service clubs. So say your Lions Club or Minor Hockey Association, groups like that. That's where Section 107 gives you the authority to do that. But as soon as it gets into any sort of commercial or industrial enterprise, that's where the restrictions come in. Does that one help?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any further questions from council? Gail, I open it up to staff, if there's any questions from staff. Gail's still having microphone problems. Directly, I'll open up we did create a Municipal Service Corporation Hornpain Housing, and our project manager is on the line tonight. And if there's any questions there as well.
Not sure. Are you asking me if I have any questions?
Yeah, if you have any questions, you're welcome to. Usually it's just council that speaks at council unless staff is required to do so. But this is a special meeting for the affordable housing. So I open the floor.
Okay. Now I was just wondering, Kathy, about how as we're thinking about providing incentive for affordable housing and engaging in public-private partnership, that I noticed under the municipal capital facility agreement, you might be able to you might be able to guarantee, let's say, borrowing on part of a private entity. How would that sort of looked at vis-a-vis the Planning Act or any municipal act regulation?
I see Leanna is back. Not sure if she's wants to take this. If not, I can try. Okay, I see her mic's off or on now.
Yeah, so in relation to those types of things, essentially what that allows is for the municipality to, maybe the best way to explain it is, so they can act as a guarantor on borrowing for a proponent. So a proponent could approach the bank seeking funding, and the municipality could act as a guarantor on that borrow. So that's essentially how that particular piece of it would work.
Okay, does
Okay,
that answer
thank
your
you.
question? Yes? Okay, thank you. Any further questions from council? Okay, I'm not seeing any, Kathy, so that's your team's getting off easy tonight. I'm just I don't know if we've had 2 nice days of nice weather and then 1 rainy day, so maybe council's enjoyed a lot of beautiful weather lately. But I think we are going to probably have questions in the future. I know that we've talked in the past about facilitating that meeting with the ADSAP, and I'll let Gail continue that process with your staff, Kathy, and we do want to have a great relationship. I love the example in the presentation of the one community, Kirkland Lake, actually putting it right in their official plan. So that's I found that interesting. I like that. And if there's no further comments or questions, I guess we can wrap up, or if there's anything that you have for us, Kathy.
Well, I just want to, on behalf of the team, thank you very much for inviting us. So we're always happy to, get out and talk to municipalities about, the policies and programs or legislation that we have. So always here to help. If there's any questions pertaining to the presentation tonight, reach out to filter them through Paul, and he will send them off to us, and we will ensure that we get a response back to you. And again, reach out anytime you need. We're more than happy to help you out.
Okay,
and thanks
thank you
again.
so much. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. It's been our pleasure.
Bye, good night.
Thank you.
Bye, good night. Okay, council, we still have a bit of closed session to finish from earlier. Oh,
Give me
sorry.
a minute. Carol Holtby here. I'm having
Yes, Kara?
I'm here. Oh, never mind. Here we go. Sorry.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so just to continue on, council, we do need to go back into the closed session to finish that portion that we didn't get to finish earlier. So if I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Belinda and Peter. Moved by Belinda Kistemaker, second by Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the next portion of the meeting at 7:52 p.m.
Excuse me, it's Cindy Couillard
Yes.
here. I'm just having difficulty. It's not allowing me to sign off, so just bear with me. Carry on, but I'm just trying to get signed off, okay?
Yeah, we're going to end up closing this momentarily as well,
Perfect.
Cindy. So if
Thanks.
you don't get off ahead of time, we're probably going to kick you off. Sorry to
That's
say
good.
that. But
I just didn't want to be intruding, and I wanted you to know that I'm still having difficulty signing off.
no, you're not intruding at all, Cindy. We're just in an open session, so it's
Okay, thank
nothing
you.
at all. Okay, so that's moved by Belinda Kistemaker, second by Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the next portion of the meeting at 7:52 p.m. be closed to the public in order to discuss a meeting of a council or local board or of a committee of either of them may be closed to the public if the following conditions are both satisfied. The meeting is held for the purpose of educating or training the members. At the meeting, no members discusses or otherwise deals with any matter in a way that material advances the business or decision making of the council, local board, or committee. 2006, Chapter 32, Section A, Section 1031, pursuant of Section 239, 3.1, 1 and 2 of the Municipal Act, 2001. Those in favor? And that is carried and unopposed. Okay, so we'll meet you in our closed session link.